Welcome to Dreamy Detections. Thank you for choosing to spend your quiet time here in this peaceful sanctuary where gentle stories unfold. The tale that awaits is designed to help you release the day, find a gentle sense of contentment, and drift into a wonderfully restorative sleep. If you find comfort in our time together, a simple like, a subscription to the channel, or a kind comment is always so deeply appreciated. Tonight, we will be visiting the charming village of Honeydew Hollow, a place tucked away from the noise of the world. Prepare to be enchanted by the warmth of Sweetbriar Lane, the kindness of its people, and the delightfully calming aromas drifting from a very special bakery. Allow this story to be your gentle respite, a journey into stillness and profound calm, where the only thing to discover is a deeper sense of peace. Chapter 1. The Scent of Sweetbriar Lane. The village of Honeydew Hollow introduced itself to Clara Finch not with a sight, but with a scent. As her small car turned onto the main thoroughfare, the charmingly named Sweetbriar Lane, a warm and impossibly wonderful aroma drifted through her open window. It was a scent of baked bread, of warm sugar, and something else, something soft and floral, like chamomile blossoms warmed in the sun. It was a scent that spoke of comfort, of home, of deep and abiding peace. Clara took a slow, deep breath and felt a quiet happiness settle over her, a feeling of having made the right choice in coming to this tranquil little corner of the world. Her new home was a small cottage, painted the color of clotted cream, with a cheerful blue door and window boxes already overflowing with happy-looking pansies. It sat just off the main lane, with a small garden path leading to the entrance. As she carried her boxes inside, the air remained suffused with that delightful bakery scent, a constant, gentle reminder of the village's warm heart. The cottage itself was cozy and clean, with polished wooden floors that glowed in the afternoon sun, and a small fireplace that promised comforting warmth on cooler evenings. After unpacking her sketchbooks and art supplies, arranging them on a simple wooden desk that looked out onto the garden, Clara felt the day's long journey begin to dissolve. She made herself a cup of simple peppermint tea and sat in a comfortable armchair, watching the light change outside. The village operated on a slower rhythm, a gentle cadence set by the drifting of clouds and the rustling of leaves. She could hear the distant happy sound of a stream burbling and the soft coo of a wood pigeon, sounds that wove themselves into the profound quiet of the place. The peacefulness of Honeydew Hollow was palpable, a tangible quality in the air. It settled on her shoulders like a soft, lightweight shawl, easing away tensions she hadn't realized she was holding. Her previous life in the bustling city with its constant noise and hurry felt a lifetime away. Here the world was painted in softer colors, its sounds were gentler, and its pace was one of unhurried grace. Clara felt her own breathing slow to match the calm pulse of the village, each inhalation bringing the sweet, comforting scent of baking. Later, as twilight began to brush the sky with hues of soft violet and dusky pink, Clara took a slow walk down Sweetbriar Lane. The cottages glowed with warm, welcoming light from within. She saw neighbors tending to their gardens, offering each other quiet smiles and gentle waves. The source of the wonderful aroma was clear now. A charming shop front with large, clean windows and the words "The Gilded Crumb" painted in elegant, curling gold letters above the door. A warm light spilled from its windows onto the lane, a beacon of pure comfort. She didn't go in, not yet. For now it was enough to simply stand on the lane, enveloped in the bakery's fragrant embrace. The scent seemed to shift slightly on the breeze, now carrying a hint of cinnamon, now a whisper of honey. It was a perfume for the soul, a gentle anesthetic for a weary mind. Clara felt a sense of gratitude so profound it was almost overwhelming. She had come here seeking quiet inspiration for her botanical illustrations. What she was finding, she realized, was so much more. She was finding a sanctuary, a place where kindness seemed to be the very air one breathed. The soft, invisible blanket of the bakery's scent wrapped around her, a promise of the gentle days to come. She felt safe, she felt welcome, and she felt an uncomplicated joy blooming in her heart, as simple and as beautiful as the pansies in her window box. Returning to her cottage, she felt a wonderful, pleasant heaviness in her limbs. The day had been full, yet she felt perfectly at ease, her mind clear and calm. She climbed into bed, the sheets cool and fresh, and as she drifted into a peaceful sleep, her last waking thought was of the sweet, soothing scent that had welcomed her so completely to her new home on Sweetbriar Lane. Chapter 2. A Taste of Tranquility. The next morning, Clara awoke to the soft light of dawn filtering through her window and the gentle, persistent call of that wonderful aroma from the gilded crumb. Today, it seemed to carry a new note, a bright, clean scent of lemon mingled with something warm and nutty. It was an invitation too delightful to ignore. With a feeling of happy anticipation, she dressed and made her way down the lane, her footsteps soft on the damp cobblestones. A light mist was rising from the nearby stream, making the whole village look soft-edged and dreamlike. A small brass bell above the bakery door announced her arrival with a cheerful, melodic jingle. If the air outside was pleasant, the atmosphere inside was pure bliss. The warmth of the bakery enveloped her instantly, a comforting hug of fragrant air. The scents of chamomile, warm sugar, lemon, and toasted almonds were even more concentrated here, yet they blended together in a perfect, soothing harmony. The shop was small and spotlessly clean, with a glass counter displaying rows of beautiful pastries and plump loaves of bread. Behind the counter stood a man with kind eyes and flour dusting his apron. He had a quiet, gentle air about him, and he offered Clara a soft, genuine smile. "Good morning," he said, his voice as warm and comforting as the shop itself. "Welcome to the Gilded Crumb. This must be Samuel, the baker." Clara returned his smile, feeling instantly at ease. "Good morning," she replied. "Everything smells absolutely wonderful." His smile widened slightly. "I'm glad you think so. What can I get for you today?" Clara's eyes scanned the beautiful offerings. Her gaze settled on a row of perfectly golden scones, flecked with what looked like tiny yellow petals. "I think I'll have one of those, please," she said, pointing. "The chamomile and lemon scones are just out of the oven," Samuel said, carefully placing one in a small paper bag. Clara also bought a cup of herbal tea and found a small, cozy nook in the corner of the shop. It held a single, comfortable wooden armchair and a small table, with a view of Sweetbriar Lane through the large front window. She settled into the chair, the warmth of the teacup seeping into her hands. For a moment she just sat there, breathing in the tranquil atmosphere. She could hear the soft hum of the ovens, the quiet rustle as Samuel moved about his work, and the faint, melodious hum of the glass jars on the shelves as the sun touched them. She took the scone from the bag. It was still warm. Breaking off a small piece, she placed it in her mouth. The taste was exquisite, a perfect balance of the subtle sweetness, bright lemon, and the gentle apple-like flavor of chamomile. But it was the feeling that came with it that was truly remarkable. As the warm, crumbly pastry melted on her tongue, a wave of pure, undiluted tranquility washed over her. It was a physical sensation, a gentle warmth that started in her chest and spread slowly through her entire body, making her feel grounded, peaceful, and completely content. Her mind, which often hummed with creative ideas and stray thoughts, grew wonderfully still. The world outside the window seemed to move in slow motion. A leaf spiraled gently down from a tree, and a villager walked by with a happy, serene expression on her face. It felt as though the scone was not just nourishing her body, but her spirit as well. The simple act of eating this pastry was a form of meditation, a moment of perfect quiet joy. Clara finished her scone slowly, savoring every single bite, and the profound sense of calm it brought. She sipped her tea, feeling the warmth spread through her. She understood now that the magic of the gilded crumb was not just in its aromas, but was baked into the very heart of its creations. It was a gentle, benevolent magic, the kind that didn't startle or astound, but simply soothed and comforted. Leaving the bakery a short while later, with another cheerful jingle from the bell, Clara carried that feeling of peace with her. The world seemed brighter, her steps felt lighter, and the quiet beauty of Honeydew Hollow felt even more pronounced. She walked back to her cottage with a soft smile on her face, knowing that she had discovered a truly special place, a small haven of tranquility on a quiet lane. Chapter 3. The Recipe for Contentment. A gentle and comforting rhythm soon established itself in Clara's life in Honeydew Hollow. Each morning began with that wonderful drifting scent from the gilded crumb, a different harmonious blend each day. Sometimes it was the grounding aroma of rosemary and oat bread. Other times it was the sweet, uplifting perfume of rose water and pistachio buns. Whatever the daily offering, it was always a perfect prelude to a day of quiet contentment. Her morning walk to the bakery became a cherished ritual, a pilgrimage of peace. She would sit in her favorite nook by the window, a warm pastry in hand and a steaming cup of tea on the table, and simply be. It was here that she did some of her best, most peaceful work. With her sketchbook open, she would capture the delicate veins of a leaf she'd found on her walk, or the soft petals of a wildflower from her garden. The bakery's atmosphere was so conducive to focus, its serene energy allowing her creativity to flow effortlessly, without pressure or expectation. The gentle sounds of the shop, the soft humming of the jars, the quiet murmur of other patrons, all formed a soothing backdrop to her thoughts. Clara began to observe the other villagers who frequented the Gilded Crumb. She saw how they entered, sometimes with the mild furrows of a day's concerns on their brows, and how they would visibly soften in the bakery's warm embrace. A woman who ran the small village post office would sink into a chair with a slice of honey cake and a sigh of pure relief. Two elderly gentlemen would share a loaf of seeded bread, their conversation always quiet, punctuated by comfortable silences and shared smiles. Everyone who came into the bakery seemed to leave a little lighter, a little gentler. The profound, calming effect was universal. They were all part of this shared, unspoken secret of Sweetbriar Lane, that a simple pastry from this particular shop had the power to soothe the soul. The bakery was more than a place to buy bread. It was the village's communal heart, a source of daily comfort and quiet joy that bound them all together in a gentle, unspoken understanding. Her own interactions with Samuel, the serene baker, were always brief and pleasant. He had a way of making you feel seen and cared for with just a quiet smile or a simple, kind question about your day. His movements were always deliberate and unhurried, whether he was dusting flour from his hands or carefully arranging pastries on a tray. He was a man who seemed to be in perfect harmony with his work and his surroundings. He was the calm center of this peaceful world he had created. One afternoon, as Clara was sketching the intricate swirl of a cinnamon roll, Samuel brought a small plate over to her table. On it was a cookie, shaped like a perfect 5-petaled flower. "I thought you might like to draw this one," he said softly. "It's a lavender shortbread." Clara looked up, touched by the simple, thoughtful gesture. "It's beautiful, Samuel. Thank you." She picked up the cookie, and its delicate, calming scent filled the air around her. She held the cookie, admiring its simple elegance, feeling the warmth of its kindness. This was the recipe, she thought. The recipe was not just flour and sugar and butter. It was care. It was thoughtfulness. It was the quiet intention to bring a small moment of beauty and peace into someone's day. That was the true, nourishing ingredient that made everything from the Gilded Crumb so special. The recipe was contentment itself, and it was shared generously with everyone who walked through the door. Chapter 4. The Sweetness of Simple Things. A few weeks later, on a particularly lovely afternoon when the sun cast long, golden shafts of light across the lane, Clara stayed at the bakery a little longer than usual. She was finishing a detailed sketch of a fern frond, lost in the quiet concentration of her work. The shop was empty, the gentle hum of the afternoon having settled over the village. Samuel was quietly wiping down the wooden countertops, the soft sound of the cloth adding to the peaceful atmosphere. When he was done, he approached her table with his usual kind smile. "That is a lovely drawing, Clara," he said, his voice a soft murmur. "You see the small details in things." Clara felt a warmth spread through her chest at his simple, sincere compliment. "Thank you, Samuel. I find there is so much beauty in the small things here in Honeydew Hollow, especially here, in your bakery." She paused, then added, Everything you make feels so wonderfully peaceful." A gentle, knowing look came into Samuel's eyes. He gestured toward the back of the shop. "Would you like to see where the real work begins?" he asked. Curious and pleased, Clara nodded. She followed him through a small door behind the counter into a space she had never seen before. It led directly out into a small, immaculately kept garden, bathed in the soft, warm light of the afternoon sun. The garden was a paradise of fragrance and color. Neat rows of herbs grew in abundance, tall stalks of lavender with their dusty purple flowers, feathery fronds of dill, lush bushes of rosemary, and cheerful patches of chamomile, their tiny white and yellow blossoms like miniature suns. A few happy bees buzzed lazily from plant to plant, their gentle hum mingling with the scent of warm earth and fragrant leaves. It was a space of profound tranquility, a living extension of the bakery's spirit. "This is beautiful," Clara breathed, her artist's eye taking in the harmonious composition of colors and textures. Samuel walked over to a large lavender bush and gently touched one of its flowering stems. "This is the secret," he said softly, a smile in his voice. "There is no great puzzle. I just bake with what I grow. My grandmother taught me that the piece of a garden can be folded into dough and shared." He explained, in his simple, quiet way, how he would harvest the lavender for his shortbread, the chamomile for his scones, the rosemary for his bread. He spoke of how tending to the plants, feeling the soil in his hands, and watching things grow brought him a deep sense of calm, and his greatest wish was simply to pass that feeling along to his neighbors. He believed that the kindness you show to a living plant somehow finds its way into the food it helps create. And in that moment, Clara understood everything. The gentle puzzle of the gilded crumb was not a puzzle at all. It was a simple, beautiful truth. The calming aromas, the taste of tranquility, the deep sense of contentment. It all came from this. It came from the sun, the earth, the fragrant herbs, and the quiet, kind heart of a good man who wanted nothing more than to share the sweetness of simple things. They stood there for a while in the quiet of the garden, the warm sun on their faces, the air thick with the scent of growing things. No more needed to be said. The resolution was as gentle and satisfying as a bite of a warm honey cake. Clara felt a profound sense of connection to this man, to this garden, to this wonderful village. She carried that feeling back to her cottage, her heart full to brimming. The world was full of simple, profound wonders, she thought, if you only knew where to look. And she had been lucky enough to find one right here on Sweetbriar Lane,